All right, guys, this is Kaim Interviews. We are here with Confide. If you guys could just introduce your name and position in the band.
Joel Piper, singing, drumming.
I'm Jeff, and I just play guitar.
All right, guys, so tell us about this little mini tour for the album release. What's it like being back, you know?
It's... Do you want to answer this?
Yeah, sure. It's cool. It just kind of came together. We put out the CD, obviously, and so many people were hitting us up, like, asking for shows and whatnot, and, you know, so we kind of just basically planned a couple where we could hit, you know, a few areas that we were popular in. I know that we have fans, you know, all over the place, but a lot of us have kids and whatnot and all that stuff, so it's really hard for us to get away, so it kind of takes a lot of planning, but we're really stoked about it. They're just kind of like our CD release shows, even though CD came out like a month ago, but yeah, we're stoked to play some new songs and hang out with everybody, and, you know, hopefully everyone that comes to the show films so everyone can see and everything, you know?
For sure. So yeah, let's talk about that. How did you guys, like, what factors came into play where you guys were like, okay, like, we should probably start the band back up? Like, it seems like a pressing issue, you know, like, where it was that huge factor. It's just like, hey, we need to get this.
Well, we never actually planned to start the band back up. We originally, before we did the Kickstarter campaign, we our old label gave us our recording budget for our original contract and said, you guys can put out the album. You just don't have to tour it. And we're like, okay, great. Like, that's great, you know. And then the funding dissolved. He lost his investor, and so we were like, okay, well, we've been for months now on the mode of wanting to do an album. So we're like, let's just do a Kickstarter. We'll just make an album for fun. I was actually, the day that Tommy from Tragic Hero called us was the day that the exact day that I wanted to do like a hardcore, heavy rock, whatever, you know, you want to call it, album myself for fun. And then Tommy called us, and Ross was like, hey, Tommy, you know, and I was like, okay, this must be, you know, mean we should do this album. So we just did the album for fun, and just got our last, you know, because when we did the first album, Recover, we didn't know what we were doing. 3 of us were new to the band and new to the genre, so now, you know, we know a lot more what we're doing, and, you know, as far as songwriters, and so we just did the album, and then we're like, okay, we'll just do a few shows, a few one-offs, and that should be it, you know. And a lot of the newer fans and people that, you know, don't follow the core news, they think it's a reformation, you know. So, and it's impossible to convince or tell everybody, you know, what's really happening, but yeah.
Okay, so you guys did this whole thing through Kickstarter. What were the pros and cons of doing that? You know, kind of a DIY sort of thing.
Basically, the coolest part about doing the whole Kickstarter thing and everything was that we were our own label, or basically the fans were our label. Like, you know, we were kind of in control of everything. I know it took us a lot longer than we anticipated to do the album, but it's just because, you know, we did want to spend our time on it and make sure that we were happy with everything, as opposed to, you know, being rushed. So that was definitely some of the pros. The cons was mailing out all the Kickstarter stuff after everything was done, because we spent, yeah, it was, I mean, I knew that, you know, we had like quite a bit of orders, but actually like going in and doing everything and all that, I was just like, there's that many kids that listen to us, really? Like, you know, it was cool though. We all had a good time, and we spent a few days doing it and just all got to hang out, and we did it actually at the Agape warehouse and stuff. So, I mean, yeah, it was awesome.
I'd say and one of the only other cons was that it's a good and a bad thing, but you don't have any external marketing or external push, so you have to do it all yourself, but we're kind of used to that anyways. And then the only other bad thing was taxes. That pretty much cut like what we got like in half, so but, you know, it's all good because the fans are great, and we were glad enough to do the album.
Yeah. So let's talk about the whole budget thing, because I know there was controversy. You guys released a statement. People are saying, you know, 30 grand's way too much. And so obviously there's a lot of factors that people didn't know, because they're obviously, you know, they're not the ones actually doing it. So talk about that a little bit.
Well, just to start it off, my last solo album I just released, my debut solo album, cost me $65,000. So that just puts it into perspective. And if I sign to a label, the label will have to buy that album from my producers for $200,000. So, but in the hardcore scene, it's the Warped Tour scene, it's a different world because it's kind of like a grassroots scene where kids do albums in their bedroom and they're like, well, this was free, like I don't get it. And Kickstarter is a new thing for a lot of kids in this scene. We were one of the first ones really in the scene to do it. My friend's 1,000 Foot Crutch did it. And it was very successful. And whenever you're asking for anything, you're going to have people that don't get it and they're going to hate. And Amanda Palmer, she raised $1.2 million. She's like a punk artist, and people said that she was a thief, and she only had 25,000 backers, but those were fans that she connected with over the years of touring, and so kids just don't get it, kids in that scene especially. My producers charge $20,000 a song, my old producers that I used to work with. So it just puts into perspective, how much albums can cost, and just lack of knowledge on these kids' part,
You have anything to say?
Yeah. A lot of it also too was we didn't have really too much recording gear to efficiently do it. So I'd say like 50 at least 50% of everything that we made went to the recording budget, and then also like printing all the CDs and the shirts and everything. Like, yeah, I think we actually lost money like in the whole process. Once the CD came out, we made it back. But and then also like travel expenses. Like I live in Santa Clarita, which is kind of far from where the studio was located in Newport, and there was a point where I was driving down like 3 times a week, like all the time, and obviously, like little stuff like that, even though you may not think about it, like it's like 100 miles there and back, and then Josh is from Arizona, and exactly, so it's just like all of us getting together and then taking time off work and stuff like that, it was like there was a ton of stuff that went into it.
In reality, we actually needed about $50,000, and our original budget was $60,000 with Tragic Hero. So we actually after taxes, everything, we actually ended up with $22,000. Kickstarter takes their cut, taxes, money saved for printing merch, shipping went up. The postal service shipping went up, so we actually were short $2,000, but we made it back. So once the CD released, but yeah.
Okay, so how does the sound of this album compare to previous albums? I noticed there's more electronic influence. People are talking about that. So what made you guys think to go more electronic?
We really are big fans of, within that scene, we're big fans of like Slipknot and Linkin Park. Mm-hmm. So we were talking, we're like, dude, we're watching Linkin Park videos a lot, and we're like, man, we want to go industrial, electronic industrial like Linkin Park. Yeah. Really simple, really kind of mechanical, kind of emotional, and just keep it real, real straightforward, and then blend our sound with that, because the Recover we didn't know what we were doing really, and like every Confide album, we never want to write the same album twice. Yeah. So Shout the Truth changed so much from Recover's changed a bit from this, so it's just like a progression of of our sound and of us as people and what we like, as far as like heavy music. I don't know.
Good. All right, so what would you say the theme of this album is, like lyric wise, and just what kind of message you'd portray for your audience?
We've kind of always had the same message. It's the same message pretty much. Songs about hope, songs about songs about failed relationships and how to get through them. Songs that kind of worship songs. Just depends on what Ross will write or what I will write. The message has always been the same.
Anything to add?
Yeah. I do feel like this album was a little more honest on a lot of fronts too, though. We do have one song, We Just Wanted Freedom, and kind of after we did the Kickstarter thing and everything, we had obviously a lot of people were talking bad about us, like saying like, oh, you don't need that much, da da da. And then like we even had like a couple like people that were in like bands that we've toured with and stuff basically say like, oh, whatever happened to, you know, working a job and paying for like, and like starting from the ground up and stuff like that. Not like realizing that, you know, hey, we toured for 5 years straight without like, and yeah, and that's how we built like our awesome fan base that we have now and everything. So we definitely wrote a song. Ross wrote a song about that, and that's pretty much what that's all about. Just like, you know, telling people just to shut up, and it's our band now, and you know, it's just us and the fans. And if you don't like what we're doing, then you know, go listen to something else, I guess. You know.
How has Confide changed since it came back? Not only personally, but like as a band as well for you guys.
Well, now Confide is, it's more like 5 separate guys that have their own lives that just did like a studio album. Trevor just moved up north, like not north, but like Ventura with his girlfriend. They got a house. Jeff's probably gonna get married soon here. Josh and his wife, they have a kid in Arizona. Ross, you know, he's having a kid. So with his wife and me, I'm pursuing songwriting and my new solo music. I finally have stuff that I'm excited about, and so it's really 5 separate, it's not really a band, it's more like 5 separate guys that just wanted to write heavy music for fun one more time, you know. And we individually put what we like right now as far as this kind of music into it, you know, and it's kind of what the band is turned into, as opposed to back then. It was like with Recover, I remember it was just like, okay, what can we do? You know, we have people telling us what we should write, you know, and what could help, what could be good for this, what could be good for that. For this album, we were just like, let's just write what we like, you know. Like Jeff said, it's the most honest, you know, probably Confide record that we've done.
So how about for you personally?
It was just a different experience. There was so much less stress involved, because, you know, normally when you're a full-time touring band like we were before, it's like you're on tour 10 months and then it's like, okay, you guys have to put out another record. Here you go. Here's a month that you guys have to write it, and then you're going to record it for a month. And it's like, we didn't have like any set time frame or anything. You know, we had as much time to do what we wanted to and just, you know, make it exactly what we want. I think we wrote like a ridiculous amount of songs too. I think we wrote like 65 songs or something, like, or like at least like 50 something, like at least like pieces or something like that. So like, you know,
what happens with those songs?
They yeah, they just kind of become skeletons, and sometimes we'll like dissect parts from one song and stick it to another that needs like certain parts and see how like things work out. But most of them probably just get lost, or they just never see the light of day. They're probably buried somewhere in a hard drive somewhere, maybe.
Confide cemetery.
Yeah. So I mean, it was cool. I actually really enjoyed it. It was cool. It's kind of like being able to live like a normal, you know, working life, and then like still be able to have this aspect of it, which was really cool.
All right. So in the Kickstarter announcement, you guys mentioned that you know, you could make music without touring. So I mean, obviously you guys haven't been doing crazy national tours, but this is like a nice mini tour. And so what's in the future for Confide touring wise? Is it going to be minimal? Is it, you know, barely going to exist? Like, let us know what's going on.
I mean, with everyone even moving farther apart from each other, and me really getting excited about my new music and new adventure, because ultimately I come from electronic and pop music. Jeff convinced me to join Confide when he asked me. I was doing pop music before, like pop rock, whatever, and
I saw him and I was like,
found me on MySpace, and
oh yeah.
Yeah. I even said no the first time. You're like, dude, we really feel like you're the guy. And I was like, you know what?
Each other?
No, he just hit me up on MySpace one day.
I heard what he was doing, and I was like, he could sing and drum.
Yeah.
I just basically heard what he was doing. He could sing and drum, and like he was kind of just like everything that we were looking for. And his solo project and stuff was kind of like this cool like alternative rock thing, and it was like perfect fit for us, and he had like a studio and everything that like benefited us a lot too. And I was like, hey man, like I was just trying to convince him, like, we're not like some random local band asking you to join, you know, like we just got off Warped Tour, like, you know, we lost some members, and you know, we're planning on touring again. And I think we talked for like an hour on the phone and stuff like that about the whole thing, and then we just went out there and did it, and it just worked.
Yeah.
So, to answer your question though, yeah, sorry, I went off topic. For me, this will probably have to be like the last like shows that I can do, just because I don't, you can't really succeed at something doing 50% of two things. You have to go 200% at one thing, and then you can do other things. So we don't know what will happen for the future. You know, who knows, there could be like a random one festival in Jumanji Island in the middle, you know. But for me, for now, and for pretty much everyone, we're pretty worn out. I mean, we've been practicing for 2 weeks, some of us, and for a week as a band, and all of that, you know, and it's like everyone has to leave their job. Everyone has to, you know, they have kids, they have to take care of it. Like, it's like, it's a lot of work when you don't normally do this thing for a living, you know, like none of us do heavy music for a living, you know, like we don't have our gear, we don't have a trailer, a van, you know, we don't have a bus, and, you know, none of that stuff anymore. So it's not like, oh hey, let's just do a show, you know. And then so yeah, but so that's probably where it stands right now, or that is where it stands right now. And I know I need to focus because I have a you know, a specific vision, and everyone else has their own vision, you know.
All right, so anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, just he basically pretty much covered it. Like, it is like a lot of people don't realize, like, we're all like adults now and have families and stuff like that, and like we all have like serious careers that we're in and stuff right now, and you know, we love doing this, and it's like something we really enjoy, and that's why we came together to do the other record. And you know, obviously we're not completely crossing out the possibility of doing like shows or anything like that, but I mean, you know, who knows, you know, maybe someday down the line some festival will work out or something. But as of right now, we don't really, besides these shows, we don't have anything planned at all.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, anything else you'd like to say to fans, just as like a last like farewell?
Thank you for supporting us. None of this music would exist without you guys, first of all. And yeah, thank you guys for following us in our individual lives, and hopefully we can continue to impact you guys.
Jeff?
Yeah, just basically the same thing. Thank you guys all so much for your continued support and everything. And you know, even though we're not touring and whatnot and stuff, you know, the only reason we did this record is because of you guys and everything. And you know, we're just glad to get it out, and we're glad to play these shows and everything. And you know, who know what's going to happen in the future. I know Joel's pursuing music. I'm looking into possibly starting up like another, for fun, like kind of similar style to Confide project. So I mean, like, we're all still going to be out there, but it's just not, I don't think it'll ever be fully Confide touring again like we were before, you know.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. Thank you for having us. And that's Kaim Interviews, guys. Take it easy.
This doesn't mean I'll stop.